Hey all, welcome to my channel. My name is Glenn Zanzitis, and I am a digital sales manager here at ScreenConnect. The purpose of this channel is to provide helpful tips and tricks for our products. So hopefully you get some good info out of it. This first video is going to be a full demonstration. So grab a cup of coffee. It does take usually about 45 minutes or so to run through everything. But stay tuned because I'll be getting more specific with, how to create specific custom groups and setting up user tables and things like that. So we will just dive right in here, and everything starts with a trial. So you'll get your own URL. As you can see, this is our sales instance. So you can pick whatever you want, abcwidgetcompany.screenconnect.com. And this is where you would actually direct both your guests, so those end users that you're providing support to, as well as your technicians, so yourself or anybody on your team that is providing support. And ScreenConnect, what is ScreenConnect, you ask? So it is our remote support and remote access tool, allows you to connect to basically any device on the internet. We have a couple ways of doing so. The first way is our support feature. So this is actually creating an ad hoc or a temporary session. How you do that, you click this Create Plus button, and then you can see your session populate here. If you have a naming convention, you can type that over here. So let's say it's a ticketing system. And then you can share the code. So you can direct somebody to your URL and then give them this unique code. They'll come back here and plug that in. And then when they click this arrow, that'll fire off a temporary exe that will allow them to connect to that session. You can also email a link if the end user prefers that. You can actually just send a link. So if you have an internal IT team, you're providing support to company employees, you could just share that via like Teams or Slack if you use one of those channels. And last but not least, here you can send a calendar invite if you're scheduling a session into the future. And meeting is a nice little meeting place, so you can share screens, or you can communicate over VoIP. So this is nice if you have like an internal huddle before you hop on a session, or an instance where you just need a quick little meeting setup, similar to Microsoft Teams in a way. And that workflow is almost identical. You just create the meeting, name it, and share it out. Access. So as you can see, this is a build plus button as opposed to that create plus button. And this is because you're actually building out that installer that you use to deploy your agents. This configuration here is a generic build. And then you can get specific. So you can add these custom properties if you have like different departments or locations, so on and so forth. You then select your file type. So we do support Windows, Linux, and Mac. Once your file type is selected, then you choose your option to share it. So send a link, copy URL. I think most commonly, especially for larger teams, would be to just download it and push it out via, let's say, Intune, for an example. Once your machines are populated, they will all appear here. And this green guest illumination banner tells you that the guest, that end user's machine is powered on and online. This gray part over here that's your part of the connection. So the technicians, you can tell from the little headset there. So when you have an active connection, this will also be green. You can then categorize all of your machines into session groups. This is very very handy. So as you can see, we have just all machines by company, but then we have this hierarchy here. So company, location, department. You can also use session groups to create and view specific events. So host connections, guest connections, offline machines. To create these, you just click this button down here. So if then you wanted, let's say, a sales department, you can add session filters, so custom property like sales, or you can add subgroup expressions. And this is, I like the subgroup expressions to create more of like the hierarchy thing that I was talking about earlier. And then you would just click create, and then you're good to go. These are all dynamic, so if a machine goes, offline, it'll go in there. Or if you get a notification with a machine that's in multiple session groups, you could just see the notification. It would appear here, and then click on it, navigate to it that way. This panel over here, this is the session detail pane, it's called. Lots of good info over here. So you have the start menu will give you the name of the machine, and then you can add custom properties over here. General, that's going to give you information about the session. So if there's a host connection, guest connection, you can actually boot a host from here with that little X mark. It gives you information about the device itself, so operating system, available memory, etc. Network information. So all of this you can search with as well. So if you pop something up here, it'll pull up those specific machine or machines. And this guy is handy too. This screenshot will give you updated info. If, let's say, somebody's working, then you can determine how you're going to join that session. We have a feature called backstage mode, which I'll show you when we hop in a session. And if it allows you to not like troubleshoot and not bother that end user. Super handy. Timeline gives you a quick little query of who's been doing what. So, there's me a little bit earlier, and you can see any sort of events that were happening and guest connections offline. There'd be a break here. So this can be handy for a quick little query. There are more advanced query options as well, which I'll show you when we get to admin. And then here we have messaging. So you can message to and from a session. Remote command line. So if you want to run some quick commands here. And this does not consume a license either. So that's very nice, because if you have all of your techs are working and then you're just doing some maintenance stuff, you can run commands remotely without consuming a license. Notes. So if computer needs AV installed, you can just add notes for your technicians here. Access management. So this is our ScreenConnect privileged access management tool. This is the thread for it. I will show you this when we hop in a session as well, but this is how we handle UAC elevations and setting up users with an ephemeral local admin account. And this goes with our PAM tool as well. So users and the access management are both part of the same product. It's an add-on, so I'll go into this in more detail when we cover licensing. But the users tab is pretty cool too, because you can actually remove admin creds as well. These 5 buttons, this is called the Remote Diagnostics Toolkit, and this is a premium or access feature, one of the features. And you can kill processes that are running, uninstall software, query a little event log here, stop, start, restart any services, and install any updates. Pretty cool stuff there. This is also a premium feature. All right, let's hop in a session here. So there's many ways to join. You can just double click. You can right click and click join there, or join up here. And this more tab is going to be kind of mimic what I just showed you if you right click. So there's different options. You can send out a host pass for a vendor, or you can actually join with options here, and the backstage mode that I mentioned, that's right there. So if we click into this session, there you have the full illumination. So green illumination means on both sides that it's an active connection. And up top, this host menu. So I just want to point out real quick, under Essentials, here's the Control-Alt-Delete. So the first time you're signing on, you can send the Control-Alt-Delete to make the UAC visible, and then you can select how you sign on. This is part of our PAM solution. So this creates the passwordless administrative logon, and you can enter a reason here if you need to. So admin, then you would see that request come through here. So then if you approve it, then that user, let's say a junior tech, that they would have admin creds for that specific session. But for this purpose, we'll just use a normal user sign on. And another cool part here is we have send to screen visible. So we already have credentials stored, but the first time you connect, if you prompt for storage, that end user can enter their credentials, and then it's stored locally on that machine. So then you, as you're the technician, you can then send them to screen anytime in the future. You're not going to see them. So that gives you like true unattended access, even if no user process is running on the other end. All right, so we're in, and first thing I want to show you, I mentioned backstage mode, so I'm going to hop right into that. So this is basically a separate user interface that engineering has created, and it allows you to do lots of stuff. So there's lots of goodies down here. I won't go into too much detail right now, but you have access to File Manager, you have your PowerShell console here, as well as your admin console. So come in here and just do some cleanup and some troubleshooting stuff, and you're not going to bother that end user. They can go about what they're doing, and you can do your work. This will get you back to the normal console mode here. And also in View, under this first tab here, we do have multiple monitor support. So if there was multiple monitors on this machine, then you could view them here, which one you want to use, and even pop it out into a separate window. You can select screen quality. So if you're dealing with a machine, an X-ray machine, for an example, lots of high-res graphics and stuff like that, you could lower the screen quality to maintain speed. You can zoom from here and share your desktop out as well. More under Essentials, so you can send your clipboard keystrokes, right from your computer into the session. Reboot and reconnect to normal or safe mode. And if this is part of your workflow, it will open the session back up as well. You can suspend your input or block guest input. I know we all love fighting for mouse control. Blank guest monitor. So if there's some sensitive information on there, HIPAA, whatever, then you can blank out that guest monitor. You can acquire a wake lock. That machine doesn't go to sleep. And last but not least, you can select a printer from their network and print to your printer. Okay, the toolbox. This is another very handy one. So this is where you would find the toolbox within a session. And as you can see, we have bat files, utilities, our agent deployer in here. But to access this, like let's say you wanted to run something against all machines, you can just select Run Tool and just select it and then run. So if a script or something, you want to put something in here to run against a subset or all machines, you can do so. And then this is where you would upload files from there. So transferring files, this is handy because you can obviously send and receive, but you can also drag and drop and even copy and paste. Screen capture, this will allow you to take a screenshot or record video of that specific session. There's more advanced auditing where you can automatically download video. I'll show you that when we get to admin. So you can communicate. This is over VoIP, so you select your audio sources. You can have multiple participants in the same session, so this is where they would appear. You can actually draw on screen. So if you're trying to point something out to somebody, boom, here it is. And you clear it and go to invisible to get your mouse back. So here's the messaging. And just as a quick reminder, whoops, send, that'll appear right over here. So my machines and messaging, there it is. This helper is you can search the internet without opening up a new browser. Basically, it could be handy if you're looking for something. You don't have to navigate outside of that session. And a quick status check, so it just tells you connected, time connected, messages sent, so on and so forth. Okay, so I showed you the ephemeral local admin. The other piece of our PAM, our privilege access management, is UAC elevations. So let's say somebody needs to update Notepad, they request for that to happen, and you can make a reason visible. This is PAM right here, so it makes this visible, kind of piggyback this dialog box here, and then you send it. So you'll see the notification here. We do have a Teams and Slack integration as well, so you can get the notifications there. So then you navigate to it, you can action on it from here, but you'll always see this encountered elevation prompt. You know, it gives you information about that request. If you know what it is, great, but if you need to do a little bit more research, you can do a quick virus total scan here. So no threats detected, hopefully none for Notepad. So that looks good to go. And then if it's something you want to automate, this middle node, you can create a rule. So if these conditions are met, you can select your conditions. If these conditions are met, then take this action. So in this case, auto approve Notepad. We'll create that rule, approve that one. Next time it comes through, then it just takes that action. So auto approved this time around. Super handy. I know it ends up saving a lot of my clients a bunch of time on their ticket turnaround, and cybersecurity insurance providers will love you as well. Where those rules are stored, just while we're on this subject, you navigate to admin triggers, and then there's that rule right there. I'm going to delete that because we don't need it. But while we're here under triggers, this is also, you can create if-then situations. So if a host connect, then send an email. So if you're trying to monitor, you know, after hours activity or whatever you need to do here, security events, you can create tons and tons of triggers. Overview, this gives you a quick status check. So cloud, all of this should be updated for you. Maintenance is updated for you. It shows you, are all users authenticated with 2FA, where are your user sources coming from. So just a brief overview. This is actually a known bug here, so they're working on getting that resolved. But obviously, I am accessing this instance externally, so it's just appearance-wise. Extensions, so our extension marketplace, there's over 400 extensions in here. Lots of good stuff for productivity. For example, here's the Slack integration, Freshdesk, Zendesk. So, you know, integration with ticketing systems. There are some premium and access features that require a download of an extension. So that remote diagnostics toolkit that I showed you is one of them. ConnectWise View is another I will show you here momentarily. That's another premium feature. So if you're looking for anything, you can go over into these columns, or you can just search for specific extensions as well. So query audit log to CSV. Security, so this, if you're an admin, you'll live in here a lot, but this is where you would set up your user table. And we just set up an internal user table, as you can see here, which is pretty straightforward. Just create user, give them a username and password, email, OTP method. So you just type email in here if you want it that way. But there's Duo and Microsoft Authenticator integrations as well. Provide a display name and then select which roles those specific users would have. We do have, you can use other user sources. So if you use like Entra IDs here, OAuth2, Active Directory. Here are the roles down here. So just to give you an example, here's an admin role, and it's pretty much global permissions. But if you want to scope these permissions, if you don't want somebody responding to those elevation requests or the administrative logon requests, you don't want somebody running commands, you can get very granular with the permissions here. Even consent stuff, so host session without consent. Database, so this action plan is set for 30 days. It's recommended to not go over that. If you download a lot of video or something like that, you can make this 10 days or 15 days and then store those video externally. Mail, so if you send out those session requests by email, it'll come from a host at ScreenConnect, but you can configure that here as well, coming from a domain SMTP or relay. Appearance, so ScreenConnect is arguably one of the most customizable pieces of software out there. There's over I think 1,400 different ways to customize your instance, from everything from the theme. This is our new dark theme, which I love it. But you can change that around if you want to go with the cool matrix theme down here. Background image, logos, but even down to those custom properties that I was talking about. You can make up to 8 visible from here. So check it out. This is my personal instance, but I did a little bit of work, but you can change logos, make everything your own, basically. Audit. So this is a couple things about this audit tab. This is where you would enable the video auditing if you have a premium or access license. And you can query an audit trail from here as well. So you select your date range, select your events that you want, and then query audit log. It'll populate all of those selected events. And if you do have the extended auditing, that's where the videos would populate to as well. Advanced is advanced settings. So you have app.config, you can disable host client menu items from here, web configuration. So just as a couple examples in here, you can automatically update the agent version. You can select your page idle timeout is a popular one, block IP addresses. But if you're looking for any settings, advanced settings is probably in here somewhere. There's a really good document on this as well. So if you need like a guidebook for it. Reports is another premium or access feature. And there's some really good reports out of the box. There's the technician report, host connecting and disconnecting. Machine inventory is another popular one. But you can run any of these as is or edit them if you want to add your own properties, or just create one from scratch. Here's the privileged access management dashboard. So if you're monitoring your environment and you get a lot of UAC elevations requests, you can view that here, and you can say, okay, well, there's been tons of requests from Notepad. A lot of them are manual approvals. So let's set up a rule for that event. And under settings, this is where you would actually activate both of those UAC elevations and the admin logons from here. Alrighty, this tab down here, this is where your notification hub for any messaging or those UAC elevation requests. This is ConnectWise View, and this one is super handy. So you can either direct somebody to that URL and then share out that code, or you can send them a text message, which would provide a link to open that URL. So either way you do it. I'm doing this right now, so bear with me here. Join. All right, so then you can use the mobile device camera and say, oh, show me your docking station, or your second monitor is not working. Well, plug in your HDMI cord. So stuff like that, really good for troubleshooting hardware issues, or we've had some pretty unique use cases. One individual has a microbrewery, and he has his employees inspect the equipment and send it to him while he's at home. This question mark over here, lots of goodies in the help section, so you can review any release notes, what's coming down the pipe, security guide, just how we harden, how, just best practices for security. Need support, so you can submit a ticket or start a support chat with us. And browse help articles. So this is our knowledge base. And I live in here. I am always reading, watching video. So if you're looking for something specific, like I'll just use Entra ID as an example, set up SAML with Microsoft Entra ID. So it'll come up with relevant articles based on what you search for. And let's see if this one has a video. A lot of them have really nice videos as well. That one doesn't, but if you go back, here's all the video. There's like get started guide. So this is a very, very handy resource, our knowledge base. All right, so licensing, there's two different models. We have the support model, and that's this page. So remote support 1, standard, premium. The 1 is literally that. It's a single license restriction, 1 session limit, up to 10 unattended access agents. Standard and premium move to a per concurrent tech model. So if you have 10 technicians, but only 8 of them need to be connected to sessions at the same time, you could go with a license count 8. This is annual pricing, by the way. So this is, breaks out monthly, but it's billed annually. There's monthly subscriptions available as well. And standard, you get Backstage, remote command line. Wake on LAN is cool. You can use your network to wake a machine up. Session recording, VoIP audio. We do not charge extra for mobile device support. Up to 3 sessions per tech, and unlimited unattended access agents. Premium, that'll bump you up to 53 per month billed annually, and you get video auditing, custom reports, remote diagnostics toolkit, and the view feature that I showed you, as well as up to 10 sessions. So you get all of this with standard plus this stuff. The other model is the access model, and this switches over to how many unattended access agents do you need. So if you need 500, that'll generate the annual pricing, monthly pricing. And the major difference is with this, you are obviously limited to the 500 agents to be deployed, but there's unlimited simultaneous connection. So it's good for like remote workforces, or if you have a very, very high number of techs, but maybe a low machine count, stuff like that is why you might want to look at this one. And the only difference that I can think of is you would not get ConnectWise view is the only difference. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'd love it if you just shot me a quick subscribe. I'm going to be posting lots of great content here. So yeah, stay tuned. Appreciate your time.